All right, today we're doing something a little different. We're going to crack open a classic statistics textbook. Yeah, I know. But we're going to blow the dust off some of the most important ideas about how we make sense of the world with numbers. So think of this as a journey, right? We're decoding the fundamentals, and we're getting them straight from the source. And right at the beginning, the book hits us with this incredible quote. I mean, this just sets the stage perfectly, doesn't it? It's basically saying that statistics, it's not just a bunch of math. It's a powerful tool. And you can use it to reveal the truth, or you can use it to lie. It really all depends on who's shaping that clay. So that begs the question, right? What exactly is this tool? Where did it come from? What does it, do? Let's treat this like we're unboxing these ideas together. We're pulling them straight from the pages of a book that, honestly, has taught generations of statisticians how to think. Okay, so our first stop, the origin story. And this is something you might find surprising. Long before statistics was about science or business or, anything we use it for today, it was a tool for rulers. Science for kings. That's what they called it. And you know what? The clue is right there in the word itself. Statistics comes from the Latin word status, which means a political state. Yep, its original job was just about running a country. It was how governments kept tabs on their people, their land, their money, for things like raising an army or, of course, collecting taxes. And this timeline, wow, it really shows the incredible journey the field has been on. I mean, look at this. We see its roots way back in ancient India, just for tracking births and deaths. Then fast forward to the 1600s, and you get this huge leap forward when a couple of mathematicians studying, get this, games of chance, basically gambling, they accidentally laid the groundwork for probability theory. And it all kind of leads up to the 20th century with Sir R.A. Fisher, the guy they call the father of statistics, who really put together the modern methods that we still use today. So, all that history brings us right to the main problem, the whole reason statistics even exists. In a world that is just drowning in information, how do we deal with this flood of raw data and actually turn it into something we can use? Okay, just take a look at this. This is a table pulled right out of the textbook. It's the individual test scores for 250 different students. It's just a wall of numbers, right? It's chaos. If I asked you to tell me how the students did as a group, well, good luck. It's pretty much impossible. You can't see the big picture at all. This right here, this is that data flood we were talking about. So the big question is, how do we bring some order to this chaos? How do we find the story that's hidden inside all these numbers? All right, so the very first tool the book gives us is something called a frequency distribution. And the logic behind it is actually super simple and kind of elegant. Here's how it works. First, you take the whole range of scores and you break it up into smaller groups or classes. Think of them like buckets. Then you just go through and count how many scores fall into each bucket. And that's it. You just display those buckets and their counts, the frequency, in a nice, clean table. And bam, here's the result. I mean, look at that difference. That is so much clearer, right? We've gone from total chaos to perfect order. You can see right away that the biggest group of students, 54 of them, scored somewhere between 40 and 44. The data is finally starting to talk to us. Okay, so now that our data is organized, the next step is to try and boil it all down to just a single number, a summary. And the first one, the one everyone knows, is the arithmetic mean. You can think of it as the data's balance point or its center of gravity. And yeah, the definition is exactly what you probably remember from school. You just add up all the numbers and then divide by how many numbers there are. It's kind of democratic, right? Every single data point gets an equal say in figuring out where the center is. So for our 250 students, if you run the numbers, the arithmetic mean of all their scores comes out to 28. That one number, 28, is supposed to represent the typical score if you could just spread all the points out evenly. But, and this is a big but, here's the catch. The mean is great because it's stable and it uses every single piece of data. Its biggest weakness, though, it gets totally thrown off by extreme values, what we call outliers. Like, imagine if one student somehow scored 1 billion points on the test. The mean would get dragged way, way up, and it would give you a completely bonkers idea of how the typical student performed. So, to fix that exact problem, we've got another tool in our kit, the median. See, the median doesn't care about the balance point. All it wants to do is find the absolute, dead center, middle-of-the-road value. And it does that by completely ignoring those crazy extreme scores. So unlike the mean, which you have to calculate, the median is all about position. You literally just line up all your numbers from smallest to largest, and you find the one that's sitting smack dab in the middle. That's your median. You'll have exactly half the data below it and half the data above it. Let's make this super simple. Look at these numbers here. Once we line them up, 20 is right in the middle. That's the median. Now here's the magic part. If we changed that last number from 35 to, say, 35,000, the median is still 20. It just doesn't care about that outlier at all. And that right there is its biggest strength. It is completely immune to those extreme values. This is why you always hear about median income or median house price, right? Because a few billionaires or mega mansions would completely wreck the mean. The downside, of course, is that it ignores almost all the other data. It only cares about who's in that middle spot. All right, that brings us to our third and final way to find the center, the mode. So let's recap. If the mean is the balance point and the median is the middle point, then the mode is the most popular point. I love this analogy from the book. Think of it as the most fashionable value in your data. And the definition is about as simple as it gets. The mode is just the value that shows up most often. That's it. It's the winner of your data's popularity contest. And here's a perfect real-world example. You know when people say the average shoe size is, say, a size 7? They're not talking about the mean. What they really mean is that size 7 is the one that sells the most. They're actually talking about the mode without even realizing it. So let's put this all together in a quick user's guide. You're going to use the mean when you want that stable balance point and your data doesn't have any crazy outliers. You switch to the median when you do have outliers that can mess things up. And you pull out the mode when you just want to know what's the most common thing, or even for stuff that isn't numbers, like the most popular shirt color. See? 3 different tools for 3 totally different jobs. Which brings us to the big question, right? All these ideas, they're from a 20th century textbook. I mean, they can feel a little old-fashioned, so why on earth do they still matter so much today? Well, in our world of AI and big data, these fundamentals are not just relevant, they're more critical than ever. Seriously, think about it. When an AI algorithm recommends a product to you based on the average rating, what average is it using? Is it the mean, which could be totally skewed by a bunch of fake 1-star reviews? Or is it the median, which would give you a much better idea of what a typical person actually thinks? Knowing the difference isn't just academic. It changes everything. This classic knowledge isn't outdated. It's the foundation that all that complicated new stuff is built on. And that, frankly, makes it more important now than it has ever been.